Welcome back to the Niagara Sports Hub. I'm your host, John Mason Brink. I'm here with Tim Ward and our weekly guest, Mike Fisher, and we have a special guest with us. Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. And our special guest is indeed special when it comes to for high school football, college football, where he is about as good as there ever was, and then in the NFL. Ladies and gentlemen, the protector of the star, George Teague.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey,
George.
man.
Welcome, George.
How you
Thank
doing?
you. Nice seeing you guys, John, Tim, Mike. Very nice to be here today. And since y'all already said something about Alabama, I might as well go ahead and get my Roll Tide in, baby. Roll Tide.
They're ranked number 1 now, aren't they?
Yes, sir.
Right? Oh, yes, sir. Yeah. Dang. So
same shit, different year.
That's right. A 9-year NFL career from 1993 to 2001, most notably for the Green Bay Packers. I don't even know how you guys are friends, Mike, and the Dallas Cowboys. And a member of the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame. And like Mike mentioned before, he's a player in the infamous Protecting the Star moment, which we'll get to in a second. George, how you doing? And what are you up to these days?
Man, I appreciate it. I'm doing well because even when I hear the word Green Bay or whatnot, I automatically get chills as in being cold.
Yeah.
Because it was different up there, but now I'm in Texas and I'm here. I'm an athletic director at a high school here. It's called John Paul II High School in Plano, Texas. After I retired in 2001, 2002, I started coaching high school football right after that. So 20 years later, here I am still in the high school ranks.
Let me throw this in there too. This last offseason, George worked as a Cowboys special assistant. And I think you had another go around with another NFL team, didn't you? Working as an assistant.
I went up with Mike Zimmer with the Vikings. So I've done this a few times. I've done one. If you probably didn't know, Fish, I actually had one with the Cardinals years back. When Clancy Pendergast was the defensive coordinator. And I also early on, I did one with the Cleveland Browns when Dave Campo and those guys were up there. So
would you ever want to do? Would you want to do that, or are you? So obviously, your devotion to helping kids is high on your list of things as well.
No, I would actually love to be able to do that. I mean, obviously, I always have to have the right situation and at the timing. And when I was younger, when my kids were younger, maybe I should say, it was just a little bit, more difficult with the moving, the insecurities of that. And I really wasn't ready for that at this point. But now my son is 28. My daughter's about to be, no, I'm sorry. She just turned 22. So I got the freedom. Me and my wife can move around as we want.
Good.
So, you played under some notable coaches, Mike Holmgren and Barry Switzer, to name a couple. What did they teach you, or what did you learn that you use today as far, as when you coached and now you're an athletic director? What are some philosophies that you took along with you?
So you mentioned a couple really good names there, but me and JT, my son, were actually speaking on the podcast the other day, and I told him to look up the roster of coaches in 1993 at the Green Bay Packers, and there were names like Mariucci and Gruden and Andy Reid, and I was there with Mike Holmgren. Ray Rhodes. There are a lot of people that have been able
it's like
to
an all-star.
Yeah, it is an all-star cast.
Then Dick Duran came in as my defensive back coach as well. So I'm saying that where I'm getting into this is that I learned from a lot of people. So when you ask me what I take, there's something I took from everybody. That system we were in at Green Bay, it was knowledge, understanding. They really kind of began to teach me how to study film and understand tendencies, and so how to be able to take risk without putting yourself in bad situations. There are other coaches like Mike Zimmer, who I'm very close with still, who had a different side. He still was big into numbers and tendencies and all that kind of stuff, but the way he communicated straightforward, direct, hard-nosed type of guy, but still caring, in some sense. And we'll give you the heads up, like, hey, if you don't get your stuff together, brother, you ain't going to be here. So you better run down on these special teams and you better get your so I think I if you ask me who I look like now, I think I probably look like a combination actually between Dick Geron, Mike Zimmer, and Clancy Pendergast, probably the most.
Those are pretty impressive names. I'm curious, George, working with today's high school youths, do you, other than physical attributes and capabilities, do you see a big difference in today's youth versus what you were out of high school into college or in the pros?
So I know everybody can't see me because this is audio, but I'm smiling and I'm laughing because there is a huge difference in it in a lot of different facets. One, just the way social media is going and the me culture. It's drastically different from that. The having to be on the field right now, where I need to move. And so I'm saying that I have some issues with some of it. I understand it, but when I decided to go to Alabama, it was because I wanted to go to the University of Alabama. I wanted to graduate from Alabama. That ain't the case anymore. They're going for personal reasons and gain. And that's okay. It's just the way it is. Kids don't work out the same way we can. They got more stuff to do. They'd rather. So here's the first time I knew the world had changed, guys, when I was coaching at the school, and I saw a video of them running out of the tunnel. So the players were running through the tunnel with their phones, screenshotting or videoing the run out. And that's when it kind of really hit me the hardest. And I was like, these guys are taking their phones into the, thing just to try to get a 10-second clip to go put. So I knew it was very different then.
So Tim, you and I, when we were growing up, if we had social media, I think we'd be in trouble.
We've talked about this. Mike's talked about it with us. I'm glad we didn't have those capabilities and technologies in the late 80s.
Yeah.
Well, late 80s. Not bad.
Yeah.
Well, I graduated high school in 89. So
me 85. But those
same.
Early 90s, those college years, I'm glad technology did not allow me to have that kind of access.
Well, and you see this in the behavior of head coaches. We see the Urban Meyer story where he kicked the kicker in the leg and he has his hand down a girl's pants in a bar and all. Well, those kind of things also happened in 1990.
Yeah.
But nobody was in the bar filming it.
Yeah.
There was, and I think that's one of the differences. Not only is social media different, but I also think the athlete is different, and probably in a good way. Good for the person, maybe not as good for the game. There was a time, obviously, when you were an indentured servant when you signed your contract before free agency and whatnot. Well, you wouldn't dare whisper things about your coach, or you were certainly less likely to in 1990 than you are now. So all the misbehaviors, whether it's John Gruden or Urban Meyer, those things were easier to keep a lid on 30 years ago. There is no lid anymore, and social media is one of the reasons.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And one of the things I'm still trying to teach my kids is pick up the doggone phone and talk, or go talk to somebody in person, and stop putting all this stuff on paper, email, text, whatever it is, because it can't be deleted, can't be erased. They're screenshotting you. And,
well, Dave Chappelle said something on a recent show that kind of makes sense. He's like, I don't believe in Twitter because it's not a real place, right?
That's right.
You're not talking to someone in person. You're not communicating one-on-one. It's just kind of like this place that exists that you can hide behind keyboards and stuff like that. Well,
and it becomes an echo chamber.
Yeah.
The number of people that are actually on Twitter, American citizens, the percentage is small, whatever the number is. If you're on there, you think everybody's on there, but most human beings are not on Twitter. Some human beings don't even know what it is, but you tend to get on there and surround yourself with like-minded people, whether it's politics or sports or whatever. And then you don't learn anything because you're all saying this, you're all nodding your heads to Cowboys suck, or you're all nodding your heads to I voted for that person. And if you dare come in and say, well, I voted for the other person, you get blocked. Yeah. That's the end of your fake friendship.
Yep.
So it can be a cesspool.
Yeah.
An intellectual cesspool. Social media often can.
Yeah.
There's no doubt we become very tribal.
Into the tough guy. You ran into the tough guy on Twitter, is what you're saying. That's behind the screen and saying
all day long.
Yeah,
all day long. In fact, now that I do what I do on YouTube, and George has been very helpful there on the Fish Report on YouTube. People know me. They see me, and we're talking with each other live. And there's far less of that foolishness. And I tell people, if you want to be a troll, you can come on here and be a troll, but you better be clever. Yeah. But I think that's funny. If you want to make fun of me and you're clever about it, that's okay. Yeah. But just redundant hatred, there's no place for that in any of our lives. And you're right. It's some bored, angry old white man, almost always, before a keyboard. No offense, by the way, to the 3 old white men and 1 old black man.
I didn't know if you said, did you say bold or did you say bald? I wasn't sure if you were talking about Tim or what you were trying to say there. What are you doing?
So, George, we got to get into this. Take us through, I believe it was the year 2000, maybe?
September.
But September, 2000. Take us through that protecting the star moment and just kind of describe
what was going through your head.
What was going through my head? Well, it started with Fisher giving me a bad report before the game. And,
you're already cranky, yeah.
It was he would hit me up on MySpace or whatever it was back in then. He said some really ugly things to me, so I went into the game with a bad attitude. But no, seriously, I did not know Terrell Owens before that game personally. I mean, we just went into the game going to play, and we were having ourselves a good old game. We were getting beat, but our trash talking game was pretty good between each other, and so. It kind of got heated and elevated quite a bit through the game to where, and if you go back and watch the film, and he talks about this, and I don't mind talking about it because you guys know what it looks like when you're taking a knee, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody kind of stands, you're not no real movement, that kind of thing, right? Or they're going to spike the ball. You don't really, not a whole lot of action. The bro code, as we call it, right?
Yeah.
That, hey, you don't do anything like that. Well, on one of the bro code things, he actually cheap shot at me in the end zone. Came off, fired off the ball. And I was like, man, what are you doing? I know we were playing this game. And so anyway, we continue our trash talking. And then the first time I see him run out to the star after he scores a touchdown, I was like, all right, what is this all about? Why is he doing it? Whatever, kind of thing. Emmitt Smith goes back out, reclaims the star, gets the crowd all hyped and all that kind of stuff, and that's pretty cool. And so when we got down to that play down in the end zone where I knew he was going to score, all I was doing was watching him to see what he was going to do. And so when he scored, he caught the little fade ball and he started running to the star. I didn't even hesitate. I went right behind him and took out a little anger management out of the 50-yard line. So that's kind of
I mean, I don't know what the other guys think, but as far as T.O.'s actions, I would call that a dick move. I mean, just to disrespect the other team like that. He knows that the star means something to the Cowboys, and good for you for I watched the video again. I remember when it happened. I wish you hit him harder, actually, but
well, I was ready to fight. Yeah, I mean, you could tell that I was ready to get after it, and I really just forgot where we were and what we were doing, and I really didn't care. Honestly, let's just go ahead and settle this right now. Plus, my wife is very aggressive in that nature too. That she said, "You
assertive."
You better not lose no battles out there. So, hey, I mean, as much as I didn't want to hear from coaches, my family is brutal. We were talking about my brother and others. If I got beat, they'd be like, man, what were you doing on that play? So I would always hear it from family as well. So there's a little bit of pride, in there too, especially when you're losing on the turf that was 150 degrees and would rip your skin off back in the day. You know, it was different. It was different.
Yeah.
Did you get kicked out of that game?
So
absolutely, I did. I did.
Did he or not? Did T.O. get kicked out? I don't recall.
Yeah, I don't think he played anymore after that. He did get fined heavily, like I did as well. As when I went in, I made more mistakes after I got kicked out because most people don't even remember. So I have to tell Darren Woodson that it's his fault because he had already got kicked out earlier in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And so I met him in the locker room, and he was in there changing, and he thought the game was over. I go, where's everybody at? No, it's just me and you, buddy.
Yeah.
Just me and you.
So, real quick, T.O. eventually ended up playing for the Cowboys. How did that sit with you? Did you think about that at all? Or
I did. I didn't. Yeah. I know what it means to have a business, and you're trying to do what you can to add whatever piece. And I know who the Jones family is and what they're about. So no, do I necessarily want him to come be part of the Cowboys and wear that star? Absolutely not. But I could understand, that Jones is trying to find a high quality type player to come in and help him win games.
Yeah. And he was a high quality player. Obviously, he's a Hall of Fame talent.
Yes.
But the issues that he has, personal issues, some of them that are kind of sad. Mm-hmm. One of them that trickles into George's life is, and George, you and I have talked about this. You've tried to reach out to him, to say, hey, why don't we, frankly, capitalize on our infamous moment and have some fun with it, and probably make some money from it. And T.O.'s response to you, George, is.
I don't know what I can say or can't say on this.
You can say it.
Podcast, but it's basically go screw yourself, because, and I don't know why. I reached out several times when he was having the, I'm saying medical issues, whatever it was, mental stuff that he was going through, just to try to be a friend and a buddy. And even the representative that he had was kind of the same. Like, we don't need to talk to you or whatever. Like, dude, I'm worried about the guy's health. Or mental stuff. But truly, there's So anyway, it's a shame. It's like the play with Lamar Thomas in college. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. When I took the ball away from him in the national championship game, it took us years to even get back to talking as individuals because we ended up being on the same football team with the Dolphins. So it's kind of weird.
Talk.
No,
and didn't talk with each other.
It wasn't until a few years ago when he reached out and said, man, I did the same thing. Dude, we're stuck together. Why don't we make some money, or something together? And no. And then finally come back, you know what? I think I'm ready to go ahead and try to do something. Well, it's too late now. It's 25 years later.
Yeah. You know who figured it out? The role model for figuring it out, Leon Lett, the great Cowboy defensive lineman, now an assistant coach here, who had kind of a flop sweat issue. He had anxiety when it came to dealing with groups. And again, early on in his career as a media member, did not understand it at all. Why won't you talk to us? I didn't understand. So he had the infamous play in the Super Bowl where he's running back against the Bills, where he's running for a defensive touchdown, and he's having so much fun celebrating that Beebe, the wide receiver, is that his name?
Yeah, Don Beebe.
Hustles down the field and knocks the ball out of his hands and denies the touchdown. Well, the Cowboys won in a blowout, infamous moment, and Leon wouldn't talk about it. He avoided us until years later when a candy bar company, Snickers, I think it was, went to him and Beebe and said, why don't we get you guys together and have some fun with this? And Leon, first of all, wisely saying, oh, they're going to pay me. Oh,
right.
And then also, good for him, developing his way out of that anxiety, ended up being famous for a Snickers commercial. And so, why T.O. would pass on that opportunity, especially somebody like T.O. who I think could use some goodwill. And I don't mean to, I'm not speaking negative of him negatively, but he could use some public goodwill. I think the public would like to see T.O. be able to laugh at himself a little bit. I think that would do him a great deal of good in many ways.
100% agree. That's why you're the wise man. The fish, the wise man.
He is a wise man.
Mm-hmm.
Tim, this kind of reminds me, and maybe I'm exaggerating this point, but this whole incident with protecting the star. Do you remember Rick Monday with the American flag?
American flag. Oh, yeah.
He ran out and took the guy was going to burn it. And it's kind of that symbolism, right? You want to protect the symbolism of that particular, in this case, Dallas Cowboys. And, I got a lot of respect for you for doing that,
Oh, yeah.
Thanks. So can I just say, I don't know why people are still trying to do it. Not necessarily with the star, but other stadiums, events, now there's this deal. I got to go out and, get on people's logos and things of that nature. Man, just cut it out. All it does is just incite people. I don't know why it's another shot. It's a TikTok opportunity. It's something. But what it does is makes the team mad, and you have people like the Chiefs that take issue with that and now going to try to beat you by 50 instead of, being cool and beating you by 30. So, man, it's crazy,
Mike,
man.
what was it you said, like several podcasts? Score like you've been there before, hand the ball to the ref, and just walk back to the sideline.
Yes,
I think the most unique celebration in football today would be the non-celebration. If you want notoriety, don't celebrate. If you want somebody to notice you, don't dance, because everybody else is dancing. You'll be the only guy on the dance floor just standing there. Yeah. My great wisdom is wasted on so many.
Barry Sanders was that guy.
Yeah.
What I like now, if I could give him the props, is what Bryce Young does at Alabama. Just shake hands. He just after his touchdown, he goes and shakes his teammates' hands.
He's a young kid.
It's not
team sport. Team sport. They helped him get there.
Thank you. And that is kind of cool to me.
Yeah. Now, again, there's nothing wrong with natural enthusiasm, but the pre-planned TikTok dance is not natural.
Nope.
It's pre-planned. It's orchestrated. It's not the result of emotion. Mm-mm. It's the result of self-marketing in the week before the game, when you're trying to think, when I score, what am I going to do? And when you do that, you're not thinking about your job.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And again, a football fan should have some objection to that. As fun it is to watch guys pull Sharpies out of their sock or whatever the hell it is they're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
So George, I'm looking, we can see you on the screen here. Our listeners can't, but behind you is a Dallas your jersey from the Dallas Cowboys. You've played for a couple other teams in the NFL, but what does it mean to be a Dallas Cowboy? Is it different?
It is different. It's very different. One thing I can say about the owners first is that they're truly fans of their players. If you help them win and are good stewards in the community and all that kind of stuff, they'll help support you however they can. That means a lot to me personally. But, once I got here, it was a different feel. Now, I played for the Packers, and they're community-based, and I love the Green Bay Packers, and I thought it was, wonderful up there. Just so happened they traded me out of there, so my allegiance is not quite as strong. So at the end of it, when I retired, I said, I actually had a family talk. Okay, what kind of fans who we gonna be? And it was easily the Dallas Cowboys, just because of the fan base here. They're strong, they're tough. They're not the LA market, but they're good. They're loyal. They switch back and forth some with, do they like the quarterback and all this kind of stuff. I got it. But it's easy for me just because of the way the family was to me. And I wasn't Emmett. I wasn't, Troy Aikman. I played with those guys. I wasn't Darren Woodson. I was not to that level of notoriety, so to speak.
Right.
But they treated me the same. Like, hey, you're welcome. Come on back, to us. You can be a Cowboy forever. So, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, since you started this conversation off with a Roll Tide. My wife would be mad if I didn't say War Eagle.
Oh, God.
As her allegiance to Auburn. But that being said, give us a little, anticipate with the college playoffs coming up. Alabama, John said earlier, number one team. What do you see with the Tide rolling into the college playoffs?
Okay. Well, first of all, I hope that you can I don't know what to think. Bleep that word out that you said about the Eagles stuff. Hopefully that's covered up, in the show. But I feel earlier in the year I really didn't know where Bama was gonna end up at. Just because there was a lot of close games. Defense wasn't really playing that good. The offense was kind of sounded a little bit like the Cowboys in one sense. But I was really worried about what the outlook of the playoffs was going to be, particularly as we were heading into the Auburn game or into the Georgia game. But after they did what they did with the Georgia game, being an underdog, it's kind of what we talked about a minute ago. I think that kind of changed the whole dynamic of the team. That really, I don't think we're that good. Okay, let me show you something, So going into the Cincinnati game, which will be here in Dallas, I will be in attendance and going. I'm looking forward to a good game. We're going to be down a little bit, couple corners out, things of that nature. But I just think, I'm excited for Cincinnati being the first Group of 5 team to come in, doing something, cool. setting some stage for that. I've been rooting for that, and I was actually rooting for them, believe it or not, to be able to get in. I just hope Bama doesn't play down. I don't see it happening, but, it's just kind of what I feel like could happen because it happened to me in a bowl game where we're going to beat them, and then all of a sudden you're in a dogfight, So I'm just hoping that we have a convincing win and head to the national championship.
Well, and cool. Mr. Fisher, the same to you with the upcoming playoffs. The next time John and I talk to you will be after the new year, and the playoffs will be right around the corner. So what do you see with Dallas as they get to the end of the season and start to march into the playoffs?
I think that Dak Prescott's going to work on his footwork and be the least of the Cowboys' problems eventually. The defense is playing at a Super Bowl winning level, and they've just got and George can share his thoughts on this. I think it's a good defense with great playmakers. And now there's 5 of those guys that are just top-notch playmakers. The one jump out at me though, Washington football team now has 23 guys on the COVID list. Cleveland and the Rams both have 23, 25. How do you play a game when 1/3 of your roster is unavailable to you? And at the same time, because we're done with bye weeks, how do you postpone a game?
Yeah.
If this was baseball or basketball, you would postpone the Washington-Philadelphia game. Yep. It's just insane that you're going to have you've got a real outbreak. This is what do they call it? A spreader event.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is a spreader event in the Washington building, and now you're going to go on the field and spit and bleed and breathe on 53 other guys. Almost certainly after this game, Philadelphia is going to have an outbreak. Almost certainly. Yeah. After the Rams play this week, their opponent will have an outbreak. After the Browns play this week, their opponent will have an outbreak. But how do you postpone it? Well, you can't wait until 23 guys are healthy because 23 other guys might be sick next Wednesday. Yeah. The NFL has a real problem on its hands.
It's interesting. I was watching the game last night, and they mentioned one of the guys was battling through an illness, and they said it wasn't COVID, but he was playing. And I'm like, would you want to play with a guy who had the flu? I mean, I don't know. This stuff is so crazy to me. So
there's too much money involved. And first to say, I agree with he's saying about the Dallas Cowboys. What's strikingly, what I really love is that there are some dogs out there. There's some guys on defense that really want to get after it, set the tempo, set the energy, all the stuff to be great. What's going on with Dak? I don't really know. Me and my son, JT, we talk about it on my podcast called Teague's Take, where we had a difference in philosophy where I do think that I'm not saying he's hurt, but I think there's some little bit of stuff that's probably going down there with that leg. I'm only saying that because I blew out my Achilles and I did a whole lot of rehab and all that. And every now and again, it kind of locks up or something. And I'm going, is he having any bit of this relapse stuff that gets on his mind a little bit? It helps him or makes him not play as well as he could.
It's interesting you say that because when I see him roll out or when he's on the run and he passes, he's not accurate.
So what he did, yes, and that would be because of the lower leg part. Yeah. And that's what I was explaining to my son. Because if you look at that play where he threw that interception right into that guy when he was rolling right, Dak and everybody, if you coach quarterbacks, you run through that pass too. You run. If you're open and you're rolling to the right, you run right through it to tell you to basically run at the receiver, and that's your angle of your pass. Well, he didn't do that. No one's talking about that, Fish. I need to go back and talk because he stopped, pulled up, and then throw it. And that instantly made me think he did not want to go do what he always does, which is throwing off that leg. Yeah. Now, again, I'm not saying it's painful. I'm just saying that it can block up or something of that nature, right? The COVID stuff. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say he's thinking about it. That's also part of it. It may not even be that painful, but it's in the back of his head.
He says that's not it.
Okay.
But I had a conversation with him yesterday about I brought up kinesiology, and he says, "Well, I quit kinesiology in college and switched to psychology," and he kind of pretended that he didn't want any part of it. But then we started talking about footwork, and my theory is, and he's not shooting this down, once you have your ankle broken in half, you're 100% surgically repaired. That's fine, but then the way you move changes ever so slightly. The way you walk changes. Then you blow out your calf, and now the way you move and walk has been changed twice. And I think that's impacting the footwork. It's the same way when Tim, your hip is bothering you, right? So you tend to lean on your other leg. Well, guess what happens? Your other leg starts bothering you, and now you're walking differently times 2. I think that's the footwork thing that needs to be fixed.
There you go. You got that. And I want to hit on the other piece real fast, if you guys don't mind, about the COVID, because I really don't know what they're going to do. And it is problematic with the amount of people that are actually coming down with the virus, because there's really nowhere to put it. You can't even, all I know, it's curious to me to see if they're actually going to try to change the rules, the protocols now to avoid missing games, as you were saying, John. Hey, are they letting people play, not really playing? But now if they're going to, hey, it's just 24 hours, and if you feel better kind of thing, I think we could get to the point where, they're going to, I don't know, put some people in harm's way from the sense of the virus, because you can't, I don't know how you start pushing the games back any farther at this point in the season. You don't have the extra built-in bye weeks. They're all done. They're all finished. We thought if it was going to happen, it was going to happen earlier in the year. Now it's here now. So,
and again, if you let's say you took the whole league and backed it up a month. Let's just say we're going to take a month off, theoretically. Again, logistically, almost impossible. That doesn't mean that. I mean, COVID is not going away in a month.
Yeah.
Play what you got. Well, how many players they got on the roster now, though? It seems like you got about 120. Like they got a college roster nowadays. They got everybody on the practice squad.
Yeah, they've doubled the size of the practice squad. So there's 63 guys around here, but 25 of them go down. And my theory was I would have another practice squad, and they would be sequestered. They would be quarantined by themselves. They never interact with the 53. They don't never meet them. They're over there in another hotel by themselves. You got to pay them enough they're going to give up their girlfriends and their kids and their moms. They're going to live together in the hotel. And that's my emergency group over there.
You get some people out of retirement if you do that. I'll tell you that. Sit around like
right?
Cool 100,000 or whatever they want to pay.
Right.
But you're right. I don't know what they're going to do. But I thought that the fines that they put in place, and I'm really not talking about that, whether these are these unvaccinated or vaccinated guys. What is the real truth? Are they actually fining these players, the $50,000, or are they going to fine the team if so many people are actually not able to play the game? That was the main thing that I remember while I was at the training camps, was the stuff that the players had to sacrifice if they weren't able to play the games because of COVID.
Well, and are the league rules the same for the New England Patriots or the Dallas Cowboys? versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, at the end of the day, are they going to push things off and cost billions of dollars of financial issues with playoffs and Super Bowl right around the corner? So we'll see.
The answer is no. They're going to get that money. They're going to get that money, Tim.
Yep.
So, George, real quick, Mike was talking about the Dallas defense has some playmakers. I mean, Micah Parsons is the real deal. Trayvon Diggs. On the Cowboys, or even people in the league, who are some players that young players you like to watch, or think have some great futures coming?
The number one guy I do like to watch is Micah Parsons, for real. Yeah, not just because he's on the Cowboys. I just like the way he talks and the attitude and the stuff that he brings, and he's a confident, not necessarily cocky, but he's very confident. And it's fun to watch because he goes out and produces, and he's doing everything. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him. Some of the young, I do like watching quarterbacks a lot too to kind of see. So I'm watching, Justin Herbert. They're not rookies, but between him and Josh Allen, I'm really trying to see. Okay, what does this battle look like for?
Yeah.
The rise of the next quarterback kind of thing.
Well, we saw a good one last night between Herbert and Mahomes.
Man, wasn't that a good game? That's pretty awesome. Yeah. Kelsey had the big one, man, the big one. So I do like, watching a quarterback race. And then, if there was someone else, obviously looking at running backs, trying to see how these rookie running backs are coming out. Because that's such a tough piece, when they start getting hit, are they, I don't know, man. It's just football is fun to watch, man. It's fun to watch. It's frustrating at times when the officials start taking over and we're getting these ticky-tack penalties and all this kind of stuff.
Talked about that.
Yeah. Oh, did y'all hit that? Yeah, man. So I think we need to have a whole nother show on that. Just
I know.
Let me get in on that one next time.
Yeah. You get John Allrod up talking about referees in the NFL.
Well, you know what? I don't know.
Say it.
You get two unsportsmanlike conduct calls where you can taunt a player and you get kicked out, but you can like smash a guy or head, and then you get like a unnecessary roughness, and then that's just it. It's a 15-yard penalty. Something about that really upsets me.
Yeah. But, so I tweeted that out about taunting. I really want to know who complained about it so much that we had to make it an emphasis. Who was it? Some person that's never played football before? Is it the soft person we were talking about, the old person that was like, oh, they're being mean to each other, and we don't even know what mean is.
Yeah.
And no one. So because you talked about the psychology pieces, it's hard to explain what I'm saying a warrior mentality is. If you haven't actually been in the game, and like you're saying, it's just uncontrolled emotions. I had those things too. You hit somebody and it's just, you know what I mean? It's just, it's innate in you. And sometimes you look at them, you stare at them, or whatever you got to do. And now those are penalties, and it's been in the game so long. So you're actually trying to take out emotion of a game that ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
I don't see how it's gonna change the game even more than it already is. Because if you can't even barely push someone out of bounds, that's stupid. To me, people watch football like they watch MMA, like they watch boxing. They're not telling the guy, oh, you can't hit him that hard with the uppercut because whatever. We can't do that for football. We just need to let the guys play. We all know what the deal is with injuries. You hate to see them. You don't want it, but it's what we sign up for. That there's a good chance I'm probably going to break a leg, break an arm, have a concussion, something of that nature, and then we talk. Okay, just try not to hit me in the knees because you're going to ruin my career. If you don't have to spear me, don't spear me. But hey, come on, let's get it on. That kind of thing.
Yep.
Sorry, George, you got me on my soapbox there.
Yeah, no, I feel like, when, Mike said we were going to have you on, and he said, yeah, you can talk probably 10, 15 minutes. And I know we could probably talk for 3 hours about football and life and stuff. And you've been a great, great guest. And, we got 40 minutes. We're just hanging out and talking. I love it. Mike, thanks for, setting this up. We really appreciate it.
Yes.
And, maybe we'll have you on in a few months and come back and we'll talk more. So we really appreciate you, George. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Get me back right after Alabama beats up on Cincinnati.
Yeah. Let's do that, Tim.
Because we didn't talk Kansas State and we didn't talk Wisconsin. So we got to be able to talk about them after their ball game as well. So we see.
All right. What's the rallying cry for Alabama? Come on.
Roll Tide. Roll. Let's go, baby.
Hey, George, plug away on your projects.
Yes,
podcasts
sir.
And stuff.
Yeah. So me and my son JT do a podcast. It's called Teague's Take. You can find us on the social media channels. We shoot every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Central on YouTube. It's live. Awesome. We do record it and have it up shortly after that on your podcast channel. So go find it, subscribe, give us some likes. If you want to hit me up on social media, I'm at Teague Football on Twitter, Instagram as well. You can just find me at George Teague on Facebook. I don't deal with Facebook a whole lot because I'm trying to pretend like I'm still young, so I'm staying with the young crowd over here with Twitter and Instagram.
That's right.
So I do appreciate
Mike, how's everything with YouTube these days?
Yeah, come get us at the Fish Report. Just look up Mike Fisher Cowboys on YouTube and elsewhere, and then Fish Sports all over on social media. We just hit 41,000 followers today.
Yeah, buddy.
Subscribers, I should say, 41,000 subscribers in a very short time. So the power of the Cowboys, and then, as we like to say, straight dope, no bullsh is the way we do it on our broadcast.
And that's why we like you.
Yes, sir.
That's funny. That was going to be the name of our podcast, Two Straight Dopes. Or what was it? No Dopes? I don't know. But anyway.
George, you're the best. Thank you.
Happy
holidays,
so much,
everyone.
Happy holidays.
We'll see you.
Take care.
Thank you.